Greetings and salutations, friends and gamers of all stripes. My name is GM Dave, your man behind the screen, and I'd like to welcome you back to the second half, rather the finishing up of my rambling roaming vlog from last week where I visited my hometown. So I apologize if the air conditioner sounds a little bit loud. It's 90 degrees out, and as you can see from the clouds, it's also very humid. So, at least for the very brief time being, I want my AC at full blast so that my car doesn't feel like a sweltering sweatshop. So, I think it's probably actually already been long enough, so that should help. But anyway, picking up from where I left off last time. So, as I mentioned last time, in that last campaign I played with my friend Jimmy years ago, one we ran through the last year of high school into our first semester, throughout our first semester of college and that first summer. Beyond that, we had our characters, it was the Breath of Fire based campaign. We had our characters fighting against this mysterious army of devils, and then we sent them to hell at level 8. And so they were journeying down to hell, figured out who the demon was. It was the source of the invasion, and it turned out it was a demon who was possessing the body of an ancient hero and was basically carrying, or not a demon, excuse me, a devil that was possessing the body of an ancient hero and carrying out its own clandestine mission from the 9th layer of hell. And we had a run-in with him there and pulled the whole Diablo 2 thing, where in order to fully destroy the demon, or the devils, excuse me, I don't know why I keep mixing that up. In order to fully destroy the devil's means of actually breaking their way into our world, we had to take the keystone that they were using to power the portal that they had linking the two worlds at a particular forge down in the 9th layer of hell. So yes, much like destroying Mephisto's soulstone in Diablo 2. So we get down there, we run into the possessed hero, and of course that comprises the big boss fight of this whole arc. We beat him, he's got a few other devils with him, so it's a pretty damn tough fight for our level, but we overcome it. We beat him to the point that he is able to start taking control of his body again, but it's far from permanent, so he tells us, you need to kill me. The only way to kill this demon is to kill me too. To kill this monster, you have to kill me. And it can't just be anyone. It had to be the party paladin. It needed to be someone of powerful enough faith, who had a strong enough tie to the opposing powers of hell, and to be able to actually destroy this devil. So that left our paladin with a very difficult choice. Jimmy had been playing our paladin this whole time, so I left him with a very difficult choice. And he debated on this he would have debated on this for a long time. Because on the one hand, it's like, yes, you're destroying this powerful devil, but on the other hand, this man is showing that there is the capacity, he does have the potential capacity to gain control of himself back. If we were able to help him, it might have been possible if we were able to help him to do that, but time was of the essence. We only had a certain amount of time before the portal would close on us after destroying the keystone, which we did in the midst of the fight. And there was no guarantee that trying to help him overcome the devil's will was going to be successful, and no guarantee that if he did and was able to expel the devil, that we would have enough manpower to kill that devil. We hadn't actually decided on what that devil was, but probably would have ended up being like a pit fiend or something. So he would have debated on this for a long time had I not forced him to make a choice. Like, time is of the essence. He has to decide. And so the paladin decided, even though he felt that it went beyond his bounds as a holy man who had devoted himself to protecting life, he had decided that in the end, with the power this devil had, as much good as this hero could do, if we were able to bring him back, as much as good as he could do again, there was no guaranteeing we'd be able to bring him back. And if we failed, then this devil could wreak all kinds of additional havoc, more than what he had already wreaked. So the paladin did, in fact, kill him. But the process of actually killing this man and making sure the devil died with him was more intense than even I, as the person running the encounter, expected it to be. We sort of ended up surprising ourselves with where we went with it. And basically what ended up happening is the devil started regaining control, and then the paladin, in that last moment, in that last instant before the hero's will was fully taken, he begged the paladin, one last time, kill me before it's too late. And so the paladin did. He plunged his sword down into the neck and into the heart, killing the man and the devil with him. But the devil struggled so fiercely against this death, was trying to basically expel himself from this man's body so that he can try and steal the paladin's. That struggle basically kept the paladin trapped while the portal closed behind us. So he got stuck in hell, and although he did in the end manage to kill the devil, he also died in the process. So we saved the day, but the paladin did not make it. The paladin died, sacrificed his life to save not only the rest of his party, but the whole, pretty much it would have been the whole of the continent that we were staying on. Not just that one kingdom we were fighting in, but we had found plans by this devil that he was enacting that would have led to invasions. Like this first invasion was basically a trial run that, up until our character's involvement, had been very successful. So he was already making plans, figuring, hey, this little paltry band of adventurers, if I open up these additional portals, well, there's nothing they're going to be able to do about it. So even with these guys kind of wreaking havoc, this has been enough of a success that I can still go forward with my plan and pretty much take that entire continent for himself, given enough time. And eventually we would just be overwhelmed because, what are four guys going to do against a legion from hell? As Diablo-like as we made this particular mission, this wasn't Diablo. So we ended up sealing the door behind us, saving the entire continent, lost our paladin in the process, and, it was for as, at the time, amateurish as we were as role players, and don't take that to mean that I am by any means a professional role player. I'm not, but I like to think I'm a hell of a lot better now than I was back then, simply by virtue of knowing more, and as are my friends. But we did the best we could, being 17, 18 at the time, and still not being fantastic role players, because beyond our core group of friends, we hadn't branched out to too many other groups. We hadn't gotten much of that exposure. Internet, online tabletop gaming was still growing and budding as a thing at the time. It hadn't really gotten a big foothold. So we didn't have that wide exposure at that point yet. But, it was, for the time and for our skill level, a pretty damn impactful moment. Like, we both kind of sat there for a moment, shocked at the decisions we made and how that resulted. And, we just kind of looked at each other, and I can't remember which one of us said it first. I think it was Jimmy. I think he said, "Fuck, man, I wasn't expecting it to go like that." I said, yeah, neither did I. That's, damn. Kind of happy with it, though. You know, and like that was a good point. And the rest of the campaign from that point on, it didn't last much longer after that. I think by the time we got out of hell, we gotten 2 more levels, and then come the end of the campaign, when we had to call it, because Jimmy had moved at that point out to Texas. I think at the point we ended it, we reached level 13, which for a single campaign running from level 1 was, I believe, the longest one we had ever successfully managed. I don't think we'd ever done one as long as that one since. I've never actually fully succeeded in a level 1 to 20 campaign before. Although, I do have one in the works that I will be hopefully hosting on this channel sometime starting in the next few months. Unfortunately, one thing that does suck is when my computer died, my old computer died, I lost all of the information that I had been, or almost, I should say, almost all of the information that I had been putting together for that. But fortunately, it shouldn't be too difficult for me to put that back together. But yeah, look forward to that. There will be if everyone can stick with it, a full level 1 to 20 RP heavy, big, and I'm hoping big, fun, engaging for viewers and players alike campaign hosted on my channel sometime in the next few months. I've actually already got a couple of players. I've got one player who said he's absolutely 100% in. I have another player who has told me he's very interested as long as the schedule works for him, and you know, we'll be doing our damnedest to make sure that happens. And I'm looking at 3 more possibilities. I just have to reach out to them at a time when they're available, talk to them about it, and see if they're interested, and get everyone together for session 0 once I've got all my data put together. So, look forward to that. But yeah, this campaign, it ended at level 13, and not a whole lot interesting happened after that. It just, we lost kind of the overarching story arc. I think we were trying to find something more overarching to put into play, and we found something interesting in that one of the characters that joined our party later on, one of the other characters we made that we wanted to experiment with, because in the end it ended up being a 5-character party. Yeah, we met a 5th character in Hell. It was a swashbuckler, and he lost his ship when a portal, when they stumbled on, they sailed into a fog that was particularly dense as they were out in the middle of the ocean, and it was a chance thing for them, and it happened to be that the fog was actually magical in nature, because it was, I think, in the time period of the game, it was around the period of the Spell Plague, even though it didn't take place in the Forgotten Realms. I liked the lore of the Spell Plague at the time, so I worked that into the game and had it be that I think it was at least something similar to that. That might have actually happened. The Spell Plague might have actually been written up as a concept later on, but it was some sort of a similar concept where basically magic had started running a bit wild in the world, and so there were strange instances where pockets of magic would emerge and cause different weird things to happen. And in this case, it was this heavy fog forming over the ocean because a portal to the 4th layer of Hell had ripped open. This huge portal to the 4th layer of Hell had ripped open in this part of the ocean, and magma was just pouring out of this portal into the ocean, causing all this steam to billow up and make this fog. And this guy, this swashbuckler, and his crew sailed right through the portal without realizing it until it was too late. Pretty much his whole crew died. He managed to get away, but then got captured and imprisoned for the, delight of the Erinyes. I never know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but the Furies basically captured him and had him among many other prisoners. It's just another mortal to toy with and have fun with, and we happened by chance to stumble across this guy at the right time, and he said, hey, you know, you get me out of here, I'm a sailor, I can, if you get me out of here and you get me to the River Styx, you're going to need someone who can navigate those waters. You know, we don't know what it's going to be like, but you're going to need someone who can navigate that stuff. I can do it. And so we brought him along, and then later on, I think we were kind of using this new character, a little bit of his backstory that we came up with to try and develop a new campaign arc. We returned to his hometown, met with his wife, some shenanigans ensued, and we started trying to put some story threads in that would branch out into another overarching thing, but it just, apart from Jimmy having to move around the time, none of the threads that we were trying to put together really panned out, because we didn't plan for anything really beyond that initial arc of this army coming from hell. So once that was done, it was kind of like, well, shit, you know, we want to keep playing with these characters. We really enjoy them. We want to find another fun story to play through with them. But it just really wasn't working out at the time. So, again, about level 13 or so, the campaign ended. And it was just, you know, mainly because Jimmy had to move. But at that point, it had just sort of turned into little episodic adventures. So it was sort of for the best that it kind of ended at the point that it did, I think. I think if we had kept pushing on for too much longer, it would have still been fun, but it would not have been nearly as memorable as those first 10 or 11 levels were. You know, going through hell and then coming back and, you know, reuniting this guy with his family, and then finding out at a certain point, I can't remember exactly when we had it happen. It was some point around level 11 where we did something else, some other major event was happening, some last loose end related to this army from hell that we took care of. And I can't really recall which, because, or what that was, because really what it wasn't that important. It was the result of completely tying up that loose end that was the important part. And it really wasn't completely tying up the loose end that triggered this. It just sort of worked its way into a natural way to bring up the reward. And that reward was because we, as these fairly low-level characters for what we were doing, managed to successfully defeat this army from hell and save potentially an entire continent from being subjugated, and then who knows where it could have gone from there. The gods themselves came to bless us, and it was a particular goddess. I can't remember which one we chose. We were just using the Greyhawk gods because we didn't really think too much into the religion of this world, so we just kept the Greyhawk gods that were standard with 3rd edition. But one of them came down and, you know, sent an emissary to bless us and granted us, each character of the party that survived, except for the swashbuckler, because he wasn't one of the original members, but it was the original, or the 3 members, the monk, the my Kensai, and Jimmy's rogue all survived. We each got 1 wish to grant ourselves, and Jimmy wasted no time. You know, his character wasted no time. As soon as he found out we have a wish, and our characters had both agreed on this, we were both going to do it. It just happened to be that because I was the one DMing at the time, he had his character step up first, because it made more sense that way. Since I was the one DMing it at the time, it would have been kind of shitty for me to steal that spotlight from him. But of course, he made the wish of, you know, it's like, even though, you know, we all worked towards it, it was our friend, the Paladin, who made the ultimate sacrifice. If he's willing, we would love for him to be back with us. You know, that's my wish. If he is willing, to bring him back with us. And he was willing. You know, he felt that, you know, as much as he had done, he felt, we had both agreed that it made sense for this character we made, that he would feel that there is more in the world that he can do, and he would want to do as much as he possibly can before, you moving on. Like, even though he had done an amazing deed already, a deed that, would make him a hero in his own right, a hero of legend in his own right, he wanted the chance to do more because he was just that kind of a person. We played him like that from the or Jimmy, I should say, played him like that from the get-go. It was Jimmy's character primarily. The monk and the Kensai ended up being mine. And so his wish was to bring the paladin back, which ended up happening. So that was cool. It was like, hey man, this actually, like, on the one hand, you could argue, well, that kind of cheapens his death, and yes, there's definite truth to that. But for the story that we were playing, it made the most sense, and it was very satisfying. And for the monk, the one who was an emancipated shadow spawn, he wished for his life back. He wished to become a living man again, to have the undeath reversed, and that happened. But because wishes are fickle things, part of the stipulation was that yes, your undeath will be reversed, but because you are no longer an emancipated spawn, all the levels you gained in that class and any monk levels you gained after that will be stripped away. So he went back to being level 6. So it's like, all right, it's fine with that. And the monk's like, I accept that. And he exited the party for a time. But, the gods, the god who did it, took some pity on him too and decided, but for the deed that you've done, I will grant you an opportunity, if you're willing to take it, to follow a new path and return to your friends in some time. Basically, it was a way for us, we just devised this way to kind of keep his level on par with ours, but he would exit the party for a while. It would go back down to 4 as we did some stuff with the scoundrel, and then later on we were going to bring the monk back. So he exited, and then later on he came back with levels in Tattooed Monk, which was kind of fun. A lot of these characters we were using them to explore the different prestige classes in Complete Warrior, which was mine and Jimmy's favorite player supplement for 3.5 edition. It still is mine. I love the prestige classes and that. They were all a lot of fun. So we go into that, and he comes back, and my character just saved his wish because at the time I couldn't think of anything else I wanted to do, so I just saved it. And I think I ended up using it later on for just some stupid gag, which, I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could have thought of something interesting to have him use it for. I had Jimmy think of something interesting, but since we'd already had 2 of 3 wishes used, and one of them was already used by me, who was still GMing at the time, even though he and I had swapped back and forth for a few of the stories, by the time I thought of something to use the wish for, I was GMing at the time, and I did not want to use my wish to just boost our characters or something like that, something that would be abusive of my role as the GM. I just used it on a gag and asked Jimmy, I was like, are you cool with me just spending this on a gag instead of having you think of something? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So we spent it on a stupid gag, and that was that. The campaign ended after that. And, well, that basically was the last time for 13 years. It was the last time in 13 years that I had gotten a chance to play D&D with Jimmy, until this last Tuesday when I went up to visit him. And we started a new game then. I bought him the 5th edition Player's Handbook as a birthday gift. He loved it. I taught him how to make a character in that, walked him through a game, and I made a quick character for myself, but I basically had him there, just as another character he can role play with, so he's not just doing everything solo, and made it so that I acted as kind of a party backup character, just an NPC to help him along. He made all the decisions. He made all the roles. Any roles that he made, that he did, any roles that he made and failed, I did not interfere with. I let him play the game, like, entirely on his own merits, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm thinking what we're probably going to end up doing, because I had originally planned it just to be a quick, easy little one-shot. And just on a whim at the end there, I left it open to become a semi-episodic campaign. So I think what we're going to do going forward is, whenever I'm able to go up and visit him every couple months or so, we're going to take a little time where we can. If it's a time where we can actually do so, we'll take some time and continue that game. And who knows, maybe my wife will join in for a few of them too. Maybe if she's interested, she'll make a character and join in, or maybe we could even get a friend of mine involved online or something like that and make it a full 4-person game. We'll just have to kind of wait and see on that. But in any case, that's that. That completes my story about the memories of playing D&D with my friend Jimmy and his stepdad Steve, the two people who got me involved in the tabletop gaming hobby to begin with a little over 20 years ago when I was 10 years old. So, with that said, friends and gamers, that is all that I have for you today. Again, as usual, if you enjoyed the video, you found it informative at all, please feel free to leave a like and a comment down below. And more than anything, if you liked it and you think that you have friends or family that would enjoy it as well, I do ask that you please share it around. As I've stated a few times now, one of my goals with my channel is to do what I can to sort of make our community a little bit of a better place, if it's possible, enrich us in whatever way I can with the knowledge with the knowledge that I've gained over my 21 years in the hobby. So, if you found it useful, or if you found it enjoyable, and you do know people that you think would enjoy it too, please do share it to them. Share it around, suggest that they watch it. Even if they don't, sharing it around still helps me quite a bit, and I greatly appreciate it anytime someone does. If you would like to see more of my content, feel free to subscribe. Go ahead and click that bell notification to get notifications on YouTube, and even better than that, follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. As I have stated in my last video, I currently have a Facebook and a Minds account running where I share my videos every time I post them. You can follow me on either one of those. It's probably the best way to get updates from my channel, given that YouTube's notifications and subscriptions are still very much not in a place where they are particularly reliable. So I do recommend follow me on social media if you want those notifications, and keep your eyes open. I will be joining Gab and Twitter very soon as well, specifically to get additional notifications out there. So that will be 2 more means in which you can get notifications from me about when my videos go up. Lastly, before I sign off here, I want to announce that I will be posting another video a little bit later this week, a very special announcement for a project that I've had in the works with a good friend of mine for, probably a couple of years now, that is nearing the point that it is almost ready for release. So keep your eyes open for that announcement a little bit later this week. As always, dear friends and gamers of all stripes, this is GM Dave, your man behind the screen, signing off. I sincerely hope from the bottom of my heart that you roll high, role play well, make fond memories, and always game on. Have a good one.